And we are live on Box Office Quarterbacks. But before we do anything, Ahmed, got to play the intro music.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Shout out to my boy Chris for making that beat for us. That was an original beat for us.
I love that. Love that beat. Got to start every show with it. But today, Ahmed, we are back for our second episode of the year. And we are once again talking about some Marvel stuff, talking about Spider-Man, brand new day. Trailer dropped yesterday. I think it's the most watched trailer that Marvel's ever put out. It beat Deadpool and Wolverine, is what I saw earlier today. And right off the bat, this looks like it is going to be the Spider-Man movie that we've been waiting for, at least from the Tom Holland verse, for sure.
I certainly agree. Sorry, I decided to turn off the lights because I don't know why I had them on in the first place. Dude, yes. And Spider-Man has always been such a marketable character that it took so long for him to get into the MCU. And now that we finally have him, and we've got this deal with Sony and everything, which is why we have No Way Home, which is playing right now in the background, because this is my favorite Spider-Man movie. Fight me, I don't care. I can't fight, so maybe not. But anyway, but no, I think it's really gonna have high hopes. I try not to watch the trailers anymore because sometimes they give away the whole story. But even with this and the Easter eggs, I'm really having high hopes for it. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's been a while since we've had something like a Marvel movie that's been a blockbuster hit like this. And I mean, yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine was really good, but it wasn't exactly like something that was more. Jeff, help me out here. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it wasn't like I think Deadpool and Wolverine did hit 1 billion, but it wasn't like on the level of what like Endgame was. I think we're still trying to capture that feeling. And Marvel's been trying to do that for a long time, where it's like you remember where you were when Captain America was holding Thor's hammer. And we just haven't gotten to that point yet. I think actually, to your point, Ahmed, No Way Home was probably the closest I've gotten to feeling that way when you saw Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire together. That's the closest I've gotten to that feeling we've been chasing.
And we had a nice cameo with the guy who played Daredevil. We're seeing that now with Punisher, and that's kind of canon to the comics. For those of you who know, I'm not really a comic guy, but now I've been kind of reading up on a lot of comics, and I'm aware that Spider-Man is the strongest of the Marvel characters. Like that's not like that's canon that he is one of the strongest, if not the strongest. That being said, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. And also canon is similar to what we're going to see in the movie is that he made a deal with Mephisto. In this case, it was Doctor Strange. He made a deal with Mephisto to forget about his marriage with Mary Jane. And so now we've got it where the whole world doesn't know who Peter Parker is. And Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Nobody knows. And to have that is a lot of pressure. And he's still a kid. Like he just graduated high school. That's a lot of pressure to have especially when you take into consideration his mentor died.
Yeah. And now we're getting kind of Spider-Man in his career where we kind of meet him in the Tobey Maguire verse, where it's like his first year in college. MJ doesn't know his secret identity. He's living in this shitty 1-bedroom apartment and he's struggling for money. That is my Spider-Man. That is the Peter Parker I know from the comics. It's not, as much as I love Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, that really wasn't how I grew up with Spider-Man. It was always him on his own, and he didn't have any help, and that's kind of what I haven't really liked so much about the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies is like he is never really on his own. He always has a mentor with him, whether that be Doctor Strange or Tony Stark, and like Nick Fury in the second one, who ended up not being Nick Fury. So this one, I really like that it's him, and he is the sole focus of this movie. And yeah, Frank Castle's in there, and Bruce Banner's going to be in there for a little bit. But I think that this will be the first Spider-Man movie since Amazing Spider-Man 2 where the sole focus is going to be Peter Parker.
And going back to like us talking about the pressure and just, yeah, you're right, him being by himself. Stan Lee, when he created Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, if I'm not mistaken, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't he supposed to be Stan Lee's like favorite character that he made?
Yeah, it's based on his life, I think, in a lot of ways. I think, Stan Lee grew up and he wasn't like the most popular kid, so he's very much like an avatar of Stan Lee and who he was when he grew up, like ending up being a kid who wrote comics. So there's a lot of like real life experiences when it comes to Peter Parker. And I think a lot that me and you can definitely relate to, like being in journalism and, not making a lot of money and really
that's
struggling those early years. Yeah.
But that's the key, right? He wants it to be relatable, but let's also face it, Jeff, we're in our 30s right now, and we're at a point in our lives where the people that we looked up to kind of sold us this dream of like, if you do good things will happen. And then we've learned that actually that's not necessarily how the world works. And so I love that Frank Castle as the Punisher is in this movie, because he's like the most anarchistic motherfucker on the planet in the MCU. And he's over here like, oh, give me a break with your blah, 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 whatever. And he literally points a gun in his face. And Peter Parker has to go, yeah, no, we're not doing this. But he also is still like in his 20s, man. Like it's tough. It's like, but I want to bring that point home, because I just know that there's going to be people that are like, oh, I hate this like woke blah 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 mental health and all that other crap. Look, if there's a safe in your brain where you keep all the joy locked away, maybe lube up the freaking dial a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people complaining for dumb things in this trailer.
Drink
like
some coconut water. Hydrate.
Yes, hydrate. That is the theme of this podcast. But yeah, like there's this scene in the trailer when he jumps off the roof, and it's like an inside shot of like the mask.
Yeah.
That's such a great shot. And people are complaining about that. They're like, well, actually, the mask would be completely against his face. It's like, all right, shut up.
Okay.
It is a movie. The fact that we're getting the Punisher and Spider-Man in the same movie is something I never thought I would ever see in live action.
And we're also getting a lot more villains like that he's going to have to face. It's literally like, again, how is this man holding it all together by his damn self? And that's probably why he feels extremely lonely, because now the gravity of what he sacrificed is really starting to set in.
Yeah. Scorpion, played by Michael Mando from Better Call Saul, finally going to be realized on screen. Scorpion is one of the coolest villains that Spider-Man has in his rogues gallery. Then you got like Boomerang and Tarantula. So I do like how it's kind of like the Insomniac Spider-Man games, where it's him fighting all these different types of villains.
Could you repeat what you just said earlier about the Scorpion?
Yeah, it's Michael Mando.
No, he's the best what?
He is one of the coolest comic book like rogues that Spider-Man has.
So we're just going to forget about Venom. Is that what we're going to do?
I mean, we've seen Venom. We have seen him. But
fine, never mind.
Know all about
I'll back down. Never mind.
In the comics, though, did you know that Matt Gargan who is Scorpion, does become Venom. He does
No
get the
way.
symbiote. Yep.
No way.
So
Okay.
that's a way they can introduce Eddie Brock into this universe. Is they could have Matt Gargan get the symbiote first, and then kind of go that way. So
We
there's
def-
avenues to explore.
we definitely need a redemption arc for Venom because they did Tom Hardy very, very wrong. The fact that they made Venom the Last Dance, they made Let There Be Carnage, totally ruining Carnage for all of us. No, all offense, it's true. We deserved better. I hope that we'll be able to redeem ourselves from that. Maybe in the
Yes.
multiverse saga. I don't know.
The Sony villain verse or whatever they were going to call it was such a disaster. Like I did like the first Venom movie. I did for what it was. I had a lot of fun with it.
I
But
didn't mind it. Yeah,
yeah,
if it was a standalone movie, yeah.
but not being connected to Spider-Man is just such a weird move. And like I watched Craven the Hunter. That was the last one I saw.
Why would
Holy
you put yourself through that?
free on Netflix, and I was like, all right, let's see what this is about. I loved Craven in the comics, but holy shit, they made that movie so stupid.
They put so much like emphasis on Craven, and yet we can't get Blade.
Yeah, it's amazing that like you look at Sinners and what that did at the Oscars this year. It's so easy to make a Blade movie, especially
Let
when you
Ryan
have like
Coogler do
Ryan
it.
Coogler.
Yeah.
So yeah, like fun fact about that. So Blade has gone through so many different rewrites that Ryan Coogler borrowed a lot of the costumes that were already made for Blade for Sinners because originally Blade was going to be set in like the 1920s.
No way.
Yeah, so
That's so cool.
that's a crazy piece of trivia there.
If that's true, that sounds awesome. Um, I'm convinced Ryan Gosling. Why am I saying? I'm convinced Ryan Coogler could get away with like those art films where it's like just some guy smoking a cigarette, staring into a mirror, and let that
Yes.
be 10 minutes long, and we would all love it.
Yeah, he is like one of my favorite modern directors. Like you got Creed, Black Panther 1 and 2, Sinners. I think Sinners probably should have won Best Picture because
It should have won everything. No
yeah,
offense to Paul Thomas Anderson. I didn't. I liked One Battle After Another, but I personally just for rewatchability, I liked Sinners a lot more. And I do have sort of a bias where I tend to just enjoy black films more, like films made by black actors and directors. I like them a lot. I don't know why. So like Sinners, and then 2024 I loved Monkey Man. So maybe it's just like I like dark action revenge thrillers, revenge stories.
yeah, like Sinners, like the it was just such a well-made movie, and like this I just remember the cinematography in that and just how like like the movie is beautiful.
And those who didn't like it, I'm sorry to tell you, you're racist. You either didn't get it or you're racist, and you didn't get it because you're racist. I don't make the rules. So I'm just
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan playing two different characters, fantastic.
two and a
But we
half,
are getting way
three. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
though. Spider-Man. Uh the the other thing that we haven't really talked about in this trailer, and she's kind of hidden here, Sadie Sink is in this movie, and it is like a very not well kept secret that she's probably playing Jean Grey in this.
Is
And I
that who the
like
older
that
lady
they are,
was?
yeah, so like
Okay.
Jean Grey obviously is a telepath and she can control other people, and Frank Castle allegedly is supposed to be protecting her in this movie. So if they're kind of soft launching the X-Men, I do like that they're doing it this way where they're putting one of the strongest X-Men in a Spider-Man movie, because that's a really cool crossover that we haven't seen is X-Men and Spider-Man.
Yeah, and something that we've been kind of going back and forth about, like in the last couple of Marvel stuff that we've discussed, Prior to Wonder Man, I haven't really been impressed by a lot of the origin stories. And I think a lot of people have been kind of getting superhero fatigue, where it's like, okay, cool, another story. How does this all fit in? How does Moon Knight fit into this? How does Riri Williams fit into this? And with Wonder Man, we finally started to get an original series. And I think it paved the way to where now we're starting to get excited for movies like Spider-Man. And for Spider-Man to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, that is pressure on one film. But I think if anybody can do it, it is this movie.
Yeah, it's a very important movie when it comes to the MCU because it's this and then it's Doomsday. So not only, I mean, I don't know how much setup there's going to be, but we are kind of, hurtling towards this movie that they rewrote like midway through because this was supposed to be a Kang story, and now we have Doctor Doom.
I know.
Yeah, Ahmed has strong feelings
Hold
about
on.
Jonathan
Give
Majors
me a
being
second.
replaced.
I still like. Obviously, I'm still a Kang man. Kang is my guy, but I've also kind of turned to the dark side a little bit.
Oh shit, that's awesome. Yeah.
And the good old Funko.
Yeah.
So and Robert Downey Jr. too. I think he'll bring the franchise around, and so will Tom Holland. Personally, whenever they introduced Tom Holland in 2015 in Civil War and Black Panther, I was like hooked on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was already there when Iron Man came out in 2008, which, oh my God, Jeff, that was almost 20 years ago.
Jesus Christ. Oh man, that definitely makes me feel old.
I did a solo episode about the Simpsons movie part 2 coming out, and I kept saying, oh, it was 10 years ago. And then I was like, oh wait, it's 20 years ago. So this is a lot of writing, this is a lot of work, and I'm confident that we're gonna get something good. And look, I'll also say this. I will go in with an open mind. I will cast whatever feelings I may have about like superhero fatigue. I will put them to the side, and I encourage everybody else to do it because this isn't an easy task. But Marvel movies, these superhero movies, like even Superman, the last one, that was actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, you just need some like fresh voices in there, and Daniel Destin Cretton, he directed Shang-Chi. He also directed Wonder Man, and that really makes me very, very excited for this movie because I thought Wonder Man was like one of the best things Marvel's put out in the last few years for sure. Definitely my favorite Disney Plus show. Just like the emotional writing of that show, and if you can do that with Peter Parker, like you're already ahead of the game.
We haven't seen such great writing in a Marvel series since WandaVision.
Yeah, like Daredevil Born Again season 1. I did have high hopes for. That's also a show that they rewrote kind of midway through, and you could definitely tell, like you could see the seams of like two different shows with that. But Wonder Man was like such a simple story for Marvel. It was very self-contained. And if they can do that with Spider-Man, where it's a self-contained story in New York City and make New York City be a character within itself, I'm going to love this movie.
Yeah, that's a really amazing point that like the city becomes a character in and of itself, because that's what great art looks like. Like the buildings. I'm fortunate to be friends with a Marvel sketch artist, and he had told me about like how you can't just draw Spider-Man off a building. There has to be some nuance to it. And so even Spider-Man on the building, like in the beginning of the trailer, and if that's how the movie starts, we're going to be in for a wild roller coaster ride, because usually whenever he just falls and he's, going down and climbing the buildings or swinging through the buildings. That's supposed to be his happy place. But he's, as we saw in No Way Home, him hiding and being by himself on top of a building is whenever he's contemplating. And I think he's contemplating so much that I don't even think he was ready to swing, himself off the building. I think he was contemplating whether or not he could just fall, just let himself fall and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's your ex-girlfriend on the phone and she's like living her best life and he's just
she has no idea who you are. Yeah.
Just drops off the building. It reminds me a lot of Spider-Man 2 with the MJ storyline and MJ's kind of dating
Zelda.
Guy.
Has Zelda made her debut in the podcast yet?
Not yet. This is a first.
This is Princess Zelda, aka Scratchy Jr., who's being annoying. We had a deal, Zelda. I thought if I gave you guys treats, y'all would leave me alone. Anyway.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, you were saying.
Yeah. Reminds me a lot of Spider-Man 2, where Mary Jane's dating J. Jonah Jameson's son, the astronaut, and then Peter's going through it. He's definitely like feeling all the emotions that go with seeing the person you love with somebody else.
That's another thing. I'm curious to see how they blend Peter Parker's job security, because what the hell is he doing? How is he affording that apartment? The Stark Scholarship's gone. You know what I mean? So, is he trying to work at the Daily Planet? Not the Daily Planet. The Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
Is J. Jonah Jameson giving him shit? J.K. Simmons coming back. Oh, that's so awesome. I can't wait. I'm pretty sure he's trashing Spider-Man and probably doesn't even like Peter Parker either. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah. He is the only person that can play that character.
He really is.
Yeah. So I'm happy he's back. Really just excited for this movie in general. But yeah, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
We're gonna make more episodes, guys. If you tuned in today, thank you so much. If if you haven't yet, then hopefully you're watching this later. We are trying to make more episodes. Life be lifing, you guys.
Yes. But yeah, we're gonna get back on it. Daredevil Born Again comes out next week, so got to talk about that. So
there's a lot of good stuff coming out. There's a lot of stuff that we need to talk about. I'm sad we didn't make time to talk about Wonder Man in a full episode, but I'm glad we got to talk about it here. I'm looking forward to Daredevil. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to Doomsday, and I'm looking forward for just more conversations with you, Jeff.
Hell yeah, let's do it up. But yeah, this has been another edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. It's my friend Ahmed. I'm Jeff. We're going to talk to you guys very, very soon.